Okay, we're gonna try this again. I don't know if you were here a second ago when I got knocked off, but I just lost internet connection for some reason. Okay, so let's move on. I really wanna hear from you guys and start seeing how you guys are experiencing this whole thing. So if you are jumping on live, please drop a heart down below, a big red heart, and if you're watching this on replay, put a star. Now, have you agreed that you can have the life that you all have always wanted? Do you really believe that? And if so, why don't you have that? Drop that down below. Next, have you chosen an area of focus, one primary focus? If you have, put that down below. Now, with that being said, let's talk about identifying those subconscious belief systems and finding our way to living in our zone of genius. So let's talk about this a little bit. I'm going to share with you some ways that this has shown up in my life a little bit more in depth. So I talked about how for a long time I was in an unfulfilling relationship, and I had this whole story about how it was just me, that I was just an unhappy person. It didn't matter where I was or who I was with, I was just going to be an unhappy person. And as I began to grow, I realized that wasn't the case. So what happened was when I was in an unfulfilling marriage, I had a very successful business. I was breaking records. I was, in the top tiers and, doing really great things all the time. Then when I got into a very fulfilling, satisfying relationship, now all of a sudden I had business struggles. Now, I didn't do my business well. I wasn't excelling. I had a whole bunch of stories around that. And I think that there was a conflict. Like there's this place in me that believes that I can never really have it all. And so I can be really happy in one area and then I struggle in another. I can do really well in one area and then I struggle in another. So then let's shift. I'm in a really great relationship. I'm not having great success in my business. I'm living in a house I don't want. So then I start creating in my mind the house that I want. And then I move into the house I want, and I'll tell you more about that story at some point. And then now I have money struggles. And I will tell you that wasn't the first time in my life I've had money struggles. If I got a hold of money, I got rid of it as quick as I could. I didn't I would manifest thousands of dollars in one go, and I would get rid of it as quick as I could. So it shows up in forms of getting rid of money, spending it as fast as I got it, and or creating debt, spending more, living above my means. And this is just math. This is just add and subtract. This isn't rocket science, right? We can all do add and subtract. So it's not that I'm not smart enough to do this. This is just some of the ways that these struggles would manifest in my life. So then start thriving in my business, breaking records of my own in ways that I never had in years or have ever, honestly. Then guess what? Now I have health struggles and weight struggles, okay? So that's what shows up next. So for me, there's always been, I can have this and have this and be really great over here, but not necessarily this, okay? So that's been something that I'm working on. Here's the secret, guys. Let me tell you that if you've ever had anything in your life that you really loved, something you've manifested, something you've created that you've really, really loved and it was so fulfilling and gratifying to you, that means you can have it in every area of your life. Every area. You can have it anywhere in your life, okay? Everything else is just a story. So what we want to do is when we see that come up, and that's what Gay Hendricks calls one of the upper limit problems, right? We can only handle being so happy. So when we see it come up and we identify it, don't create judgment around it. Just look at it and say, okay, I see you there. And that's just a story. That is not true. I can have it, and I've proven it over here. In fact, if you could even conceive of it, you're already there. You just have to hold that vibration. You have to raise your vibration to the level that you want to live in, and then your life will match it every time. So let's talk about some practical application for this. Oh, you know what? Let me cover a couple other things. And other ways that I think we talked a little bit about this showing up in addiction. Addictions will show up. That's another way. So you got those subconscious beliefs and those sabotage systems that are going on, and one of those ways that struggles with addiction. Any other ladies out there struggle with addiction? Guess what? More of us have struggled with addiction of one form or another than you could possibly realize. And guess what? It doesn't all have to be drugs and alcohol. It can be shopping. It can even be sex. It can be spending. It can be over-exercising. It could be eating a lot of chocolate. It could be sugar. It could be just eating too many carbs. There's so many ways that addictions show up. So keep that in mind, okay? And again, no judgment here. We're just gonna move right past these things so they don't keep hanging on and keeping us from having the life that we really want. So let's talk about different ways that we can do that. So that's struggle with addiction. The other way that you can it shows up is you can feel it in your body. And we'll talk more about that probably next time. Now, in the Upper Limit book by Gay Hendricks, and in the Zone of Living in the Zone of Genius, I think is what the other one's called, he talks about how we're the happiest when we're living in that zone of genius. Now, most of us at best, we live in our zone of excellence. And I used to call that second place mentality. I have second place mentality. I don't have first place mentality. I always have second place mentality. I would manifest my parking space when I was looking for a parking space driving around. It would be the second one from the front, not the first one, okay? But if you can conceive it, you can have it. Your vibration is already there. So just look at that and say, oh, I see you. But what we want to get you to is when you see it in your life or in other people's life, you start going, oh, I can have that too. Oh, I can have that too. And so that's living in your zone of excellence. Now, when we're living there, we're truly our happiest. And this involves us pushing past these things. And when we push back past them, every time we push past them a little bit, we're happier and happier, and we can see ourselves doing it more and more. Now, there's some practical applications, so let's cover a couple of those. Well, here's something. Well, okay, so here I am. My business isn't going so great, and I keep complaining about it, and I'm whining, and I'm in this place of self-pity, and it's like, oh, look at her. She's doing that. She's doing really great. Why can't I do really great? You know, and all the chatter and stories. Knowing all along that I have created this or something better before, and I know how to do it, so then I have to say to myself, well, you know how to do it, what are you gonna do? Okay, so here's some practical applications. Journaling. You wanna start by, like, the practical side is rewiring neurotransmitters, okay? I think there's so much spiritual to this as well, but practical, let's rewire your neurotransmitters. Let's rewire your brain so that your thoughts are cohesive with your actions and what you want. So writing out as if it's already happened, the life that you want, everything, the story that you want, the relationship you want, in present tense, as if it's already happened, full of joy and love and excitement and fun and gratitude and all those things that keep you in a place of really good feeling. That's a practical application. Another practical application is doing things that make you happy. Spend time in your happy place, whatever that is, dance, outside. Okay, other practical application, meditation. Now don't get really bogged down in the idea of meditation. Like 5 or 10 minutes a day is fine, meditate. Practice it, it's a practice. But I like to meditate where I go all the way, where I'm seeing in my mind's eye what I wanna create, what I wanna have. And I'm gonna, remind me tomorrow and I will tell you the story about this house and what that looked like for me. And then I think that is the biggest thing. I used to journal a lot and write it out a lot and write it over and over again. Now I just like to get the picture in my mind with all the feelings and see it happening, and that's how I create it. So here's what I want you to do. Your next practical step. You're going to schedule in your calendar 10 minutes a day. That's it. 10 minutes a day. And you're gonna journal and or meditate for 10 minutes every day. So today, write it in your calendar for tomorrow, or write it in your calendar every day for the next week. And if you've done that, I want you to put a check mark down below. Okay, check. I have put it in my calendar. And no matter what, set a timer, and for 10 minutes every day, let's get you in the practice of taking the time to do the things that you need to do to create the life you want. Journal, meditate, envision, get in a happy place. I really highly recommend the journaling and or the meditating. Maybe do 5 minutes of each, okay? Now, we're gonna, well, you know what? That's all I'm gonna talk about today because I've talked about enough. So let's drop that there. Drop it below when you get a check, when you put it on your calendar and you've done what I asked you to do, so we can move forward with you creating the life that you want. Okay, you guys have an amazing night. See you later.